Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Music Buds podcast. This is episode number 58, and my name is Henry. This week, I'm so happy to be joined by the Emmy-winning composer, Inon Zur, known for a huge number of acclaimed projects, including the Fallout video games, Dragon Age, Prince of Persia, and just countless others. Thank you so much again for being here. As I was telling you just before, I really am a big fan of your music, and so it really means a lot for you to be here.
Thank you so much. And again, I appreciate it. Really and honored to be with you today.
Oh, thank you. Well, first of all, just how are things going? I mean, you were discussing a little bit right before we started about the busyness of your schedule, but how are things overall?
It is very, very busy. I'm, as you could understand, I am working on multiple projects simultaneously. So it is always great, but challenging. Things that always sort of like roaming around and are, of course, Starfield and more Fallout and other sort of like work in progress. And there are a few very, very interesting future projects that I cannot really speak on right now, but they're extremely exciting.
Great. I guess firstly, how did you get started in music? Was that something you'd always wanted to do?
I guess, yes. I mean, as back and far as I could remember myself, age of 3, I remember myself walking with my parents and they're singing songs to me. My parents really they're not professional musicians, but are music lovers. And there was always like a record of classical music that is playing in our living room back in Israel. And they're singing, and I'm finding myself, instead of singing with them, I'm actually harmonizing what they're singing. And, it just dawned on me that just music is such a huge part of my life. Later on, when I was 8 years old, I started playing piano, but instead of reading what was put in front of me, I insisted of writing my own music, and it just kept on going and going and going. And here we are right now, many years later.
Yeah. How did composing come along then? Like what first got you into that?
I mean, again, composition was part of who I am. When I started playing piano, I just came up with my own melodies, and my piano teacher, who was a great teacher and had a really great understanding, she sort of like gave up in the beginning on trying to go with me with the basics and stuff. And she's like, why don't we do instead? She gave me a children poets book. And she said, you see, there are like poets here, just compose them. And I ended up composing like 7 or 8 of them when I was 8 years old. And so that's how and then I kept on going, and it just brought me a lot of satisfaction and happiness.
Yeah. Well, in terms of like some of these big video games, like, the Fallout series, which is, I'm just like a absolute massive fan of, as so, many are. How did you end up getting involved with Fallout?
It's what happened is when I started working on video games, that was in 1996. And the company that is not around anymore, but the tracer company after that is Obsidian. But before, it was Interplay and Black Isle. The first game I did for them was Star Trek Klingon Academy, and they just kept on working with me, and I kept on composing, and then I composed another Star Trek, and then I got into RPG and Icewind Dale and Baldur's Gate and all the stuff, and then in '99 came Fallout Tactics. And this was the first time I actually, dipped my toe inside the Fallout world. And I got captivated right away. It was very, very different than any other project I ever worked on. And I remember telling myself way, way, way before I knew that I will become more of a prominent composer for the Fallout franchise, that this is one thing I really love to continue doing.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there is the Fallout anniversary right now, and then also I was one big thing that I was really curious about, because these games are so huge. A game like Fallout 76 or Fallout 4, Fallout 3. I mean, really any of them. There is so much exploration in those games where you could be wandering for 20 minutes, going from one place to another, encountering. Every person could encounter something different. What's the process of creating a piece of music where you don't know what's going to happen? You don't know if it's a long journey or short journey. What's the process of finding the right fit for that?
So again, it's all about the three big W's: where, when, and why. And we could start with a why, because the why is the most important. It's why are we here? What is the purpose? What is the story behind it? What are the emotionals aspects that we understand that happening right now? And this is where I am taking most notes from. And then the where, what kind of environment we are. If we can look at the different Fallouts, each one of them is taking place in a different area and in a different part of the United States. And I totally took this one under consideration. And, when it was Vegas, it was one thing. And when it was Boston, one thing, and, and so on and so forth. But more than anything else, what are the emotions we want to describe? Because you could go wandering in the, desert or, anywhere, almost purposeless. But then behind it, there are some purposes for you wandering. It's not that you're disconnected. There is a story. And the story that surrounds you makes you feel something, either scared or encouraged or empowered or any other feelings, which I, as a composer, really my mission is to address them and to almost tell you, so now this is how you need to feel.
Right. Yeah. Well, because I was actually just about to touch on that. Is I do feel these games where you're wandering around and nothing may be happening, but your music kind of allows for I guess it does feed into what the character would theoretically be thinking, where the hell am I? Or
and it all starts, exactly, and it all starts from the background story, and this is where it's coming from. Look at Fallout 4. We are being introduced to Fallout 4, and the whole initiative of this is finding your son. So it's being set up from the beginning, so the music has to go with you, the player, and keep on following you, and sometimes even pushing you, sometimes even really almost hinting at what's to come. And this is what we do.
Yeah. And now, in terms of not so much that aspect, but and actually, I guess starting out on those kinds of tracks, are you seeing footage, or are they just telling you okay,
it's more about watching and seeing artwork. I don't see the game at all. I see lots of artwork and concept art. I'm getting keywords and I'm getting the essence of the story, but that's it. I do not score to a videos or anything unless it it is cinematic. And if it's cinematic, it's totally different.
Right. And now, are you someone who, because I know, I mean, everybody's different and everybody has their own process. Do you like to kind of plan things out, or do you like to kind of go on the fly, as it were, in terms of
I'm more of an the intuitive kind of a person. Keywords always plant in my head something that it sort of like translates into musical sound. So if you'll say desolate, I hear something. If you say scary, I hear something. If it's like some people see colors, I hear music.
right?
And so working with keywords for me is the best, because then I could let my musical imagination just go wild, instead of trying to fit things.
And is that the same kind of process for games like, Dragon Age or Prince of Persia? Is it?
Yeah, it's always the same thing.
Okay.
What is the story? What is the motivation? Who is our hero and protagonist? And what are the feelings we want to describe? More than anything else, this is what gets the music going, or the music gets these emotions going once it know what to describe.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I did, hear about is that they're doing the vinyl release of Fallout 76, which, I've a few other composers that I've talked to over the last, year or two. They've had similar things. I think that's such a cool,
Yeah,
cool thing.
people love vinyls, and I think that there are two main reasons for it. The main, and it is sonic and appearance. There's something in the sound of the vinyl that you cannot really replicate digitally. Something in this analog compression, distortion, all of that is really something that cannot be replicated digitally. So I am, again, I can understand that. The other thing is, like, vinyl is big.
Yeah.
So I can, I mean, you could just create a lot of artwork. And if we talk about Siberia, for example, and with the amazing artwork of Benoit Sokal, late Benoit Sokal, unfortunately passed away last year. Vinyl is such an amazing platform to bring to life these kind of artistic elements. And the vinyl for Siberia, all the Siberias, but especially the world before, it's just stunning.
Yeah. And I think that it also just, I guess, will give, and I've always thought this, it just gives more credit to people such as yourself, because, people, lots of times when, gamers, when they play a game, the music may be kind of secondary. They may not even be thinking about it. But then, something that I've always thought is, like, without, for example, in a game like Fallout, if you're wandering around or doing this or that and there's no music, it would be probably a whole different experience for most people. At least, I mean, that's something that I would notice.
Oh, yeah. No, music has I always call it the fourth dimension. It's the emotional dimension. If you take that, you're losing a whole dimension. So to me, it's just so important. And again, it's so simple. You could see a person walk, like it's a movie, and a person is just walking in the street. And the music that is going to play will tell you everything. Is he in danger? Is he happy? Is he scared? Is he sad? And it's the same picture. You could do yourself this exercise, and it just changes everything.
Yeah. And now, I guess, regardless if it ends up coming out before it happens or after, I'm interested to hear about this concert that you're going to be doing in just a few days from this recording.
I mean, what can I say? It's a dream comes true. Every composer wants his music to be out of, especially like composers for media, but any composer wants his or her music to be performed. So a whole concert that, took, the music that I hold pretty much as the best thing I ever did, put it all together and being played by a really great orchestra in LA in a great venue. What can you ask for more? I mean, really, I have to give a huge credit to Noreen Green and the LA Jewish Symphony Orchestra for putting together this amazing project, helping and dedicating so much for this. And again, I am so excited. Really.
Yeah. And now at the same time, is there any certain amount of like pressure now that it's going to be in concert form, or is it just exciting?
There's always a little pressure, but I mean, you never know how things will go, but again, more than anything else, this is just the opportunity to present your music in your own hometown. It's pretty massive.
Yeah. Are you someone who likes to listen to music on your own, or are you generally so consumed with creating that you're kind of
I mean, obviously music is my life. But after 8, 9, or 10 hours of composing music, the last thing after that I want to hear is music.
That's fair.
I really need some quiet, maybe talk show, maybe Lakers game, whatever. But just not like music that will demand more
Right.
attention. But obviously, when I'm on vacation, which doesn't happen a lot, of course, I'd love to listen to music.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is really nice talking to you. I mean, is there anything else? I know you were kind of hinting at it, but I mean, is there anything else coming up? Anything, other things you wanted to mention that you're working on right now that you can talk about, or?
I wish I could tell you, and there's a lot to tell.
Okay.
But these projects are way, their release date is far away, and they're very, very inside the, conception part of it. So I hope we will meet again.
Yeah.
And I hope that then I could tell you more about it. But again, part of the excitement is what's to come, and there's quite a lot.
Great. And now one just kind of last quick thing that I was just curious about, if you had a desert island artist, a music artist, one artist, if you can only listen to one for the rest of your life, would you be able to pick one?
I don't think so. The whole thing is just assortment, and there's so many composers that I admire. I just will have to take them all with me.
That's a good answer. I would too. So, again, thank you so much for taking the time. I do really enjoy just listening to music, both within the games and off, just on my computer while I'm doing things. And so I really do appreciate your music and enjoy your music. So
thank you so much. I appreciate it. And thank you for having me. And again, I apologize for I was a little late. It's crazy here.
Oh, no worries. And, best of luck with the concert. And I hope to talk to you again sometime soon. Okay.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Take care.
Okay. I'll see you.
Bye.